Which one's the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There is no second best. There's no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset. It's called Bitcoin, right? Right? There's no second best. Okay. It's not like,
man. Thank goodness.
Welcome. It's the HEX Late Show, episode 199. Who would have thought we would get here 3.5 years later? I have my Schweppes raspberry and blueberry mineral water. Can't start an episode of the HEX Late Show without that. Lots happening in crypto. Lots happening. Bitcoin pumping. Let me bring up Bluey.
What's up?
Hey, mate. How are you?
I'm very good. Very good. Yeah. Kicking along.
On a tear.
Enjoying
Ethereum.
The Bitcoin pump. Yeah, enjoying the Ethereum pump. Waiting for the HEX to pump.
Aren't we all? Yeah. So this is interesting, right? So what's going to happen? Because there's been movements, there's been all sorts of interesting stuff going on in relation to sacrifice wallets and how things are being used. Very, very interesting. So we're going to get into that a bit later on. I'm not sure how far into that you've delved. What we usually start the show with is we usually do our quiz, but was there anything that you wanted to touch on before we jump into the HEX contract game show?
No, I mean, I haven't looked too much into what the OA has done with the sacrifice funds, apart from seeing the tweets that they put it into Aave, which was, I thought, very interesting. You want to talk about that later, or?
I'm happy if you want to. I mean, I've got the tweets lined up for later. If you want to chat about it now,
because people, I think Clintron's is probably on point. People are probably still watching the Martin North, Adam Stokes. That's what I was doing before this.
Yeah, me too. I was watching that too. Do you know what? I really enjoy watching those two together, because it always ends up being Adam Stokes just hard shilling Bitcoin to Martin North for like half an hour. It always ends up being just like a half an hour hard shill. And I love it because it's always like point after point after point after point. And it's fantastic. And
yeah, he's very articulate. Stokes is very articulate. He does love a rant, doesn't he?
He does. He can do a rant with the best of them. I was just taking the rubbish out before, and I was thinking to myself, if Martin North had listened to Adam like when they started streaming together, I mean, Martin North must be like well-to-do, right?
Sure.
He
Yeah.
must be. Like, I don't know. I don't know the guy's financial affairs, but I think to have a channel dedicated to investments and things like that, you must be okay, especially at his age, right? Especially at his age. So he's not like he's of retirement age, I would think, just from like seeing him. Can you imagine if he had like listened to Adam and like went in, not super hard, but just like, thrown in a few.
I think he has though.
He has.
I think.
Has he?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but I was on his show talking about it. And I'm sure that he would not have brought me on unless he had researched HEX. And he was the one that came up with the name of that show, which he called it like A Rose Amongst the Thorns or something like that.
Okay.
Like,
do you think he would have heard of that through Adam?
No.
Okay. Right.
No.
I do remember that. I do remember that.
That was like, that was 2 years ago or something.
That was such a great interview that you did, mate.
Yeah, it was. And Martin North is a very open-minded person. And in this live stream with Stokesy that he was just doing, he talked about that he looked into it and he dabbled into it. Like I don't think he went hard into crypto, but he definitely has been.
But that was my point. That if he had gone like reasonably, like if he'd gone into it to a reasonable extent, the guy could be like, like he could be in crypto. He could be a decker, like a centimillionaire in crypto. Like he could definitely be. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, he knew about it like as early as we did. Yeah, and but
you put in like half a mil into it. You throw.
He wouldn't do that though. He's a very conservative guy, I think, when it comes to finance.
But it's all relative. Like half a mil is conservative if you've got 100. Do you know what I mean? Like half a mil is conservative. It's only half. What's that?
Yeah, I think half a mil is a lot of money for anyone these days. Like even for people who are rich, like a half a mil is a lot of money. You don't think?
Yes, I do. Yeah, it is. But like at this, I guess the point I'm saying is you get to a certain point where, like I remember the days when $10,000 was just a lot of money. Like, like going back a few years, nothing to do with crypto, just going back. I mean, nowadays, $10,000 doesn't get you very far. So it's about perspective and things are relative. So I guess if you're used to earning, if you earn $500,000, $1 million a month, if you want to make a $500,000 investment, it's probably not going to be. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be something that you fret over in the same way as you would if it's the only thing you've only ever earned $500,000 your whole life.
You know what? Anyway. You know what? Nowadays we have to say, are you talking about 500,000 Australian dollars or US dollars? Because there's a pretty massive difference nowadays, hey?
Yeah, bit of a difference.
Yeah,
it's about what 500,000 US is about 700,000 Australian.
Yeah,
roughly.
I don't know. It might even be like more now.
Something like that. It's something in that ballpark.
Yeah.
In that ballpark. All right. So was there anything you wanted to, I guess before we do anything else, shout out to everyone in the chat. What's going on? We've got all the regulars in there. We are at the second last ever Hex Late Show. There's only one left after this one.
End of an era, mate. It's going to be
the end of an era. It's an end of an era for us. No one else gives a shit. you know,
Yeah.
but we care.
Yeah.
The guy, perhaps some the people in the chat will care because they're, you know, I can tell if you turn up every week for like a couple of years, it's a part of your weekly routine, you know.
Yeah.
So
The fan.
you know,
Seeing
so
the fan.
I truly appreciate every single person who's ever come into the chat and listened and you know, participated in the chat. Really appreciate it. And yeah, listen, let's do the quiz, mate. Let's do the quiz.
Okay.
A difference of $880. You want both showcases at $1 million bucks. You want both showcases at $1 million bucks. $1 million bucks, buddy.
For to anyone who was a foreigner or didn't speak Greek. Malacca? No, barbarian.
Over $1,300,000,300 million.
The United States of America.
This is the Hex Contract Game Show where there are no prizes. There are just questions.
Questions and prestige.
And prestige. Okay, so after last week's, like, if you throw in a few tough questions and yeah, anyway, so I made them a bit easier. Okay, what is pulse?
The tough questions are awesome.
Are they? Yes, but
Yeah.
it might be just a bit hard for any, like, if there's any newbie who's watching.
No noobs are here, man. It's all just.
No
it's
noobs.
all
Are there any
newbies.
in the chat, or is everyone just like an OG? Are you guys OG Hex late showers? Okay, well, it's been done. It's done. So the questions are what they are. What is PulseChain? A new blockchain network. B, a cryptocurrency exchange. This is just to get us going, right? C, a digital wallet, or D, a government-backed central bank digital currency.
A.
Yep, I don't think I even need to repeat that one. The
Yeah.
answer is, well, the question is, what is PulseChain? And the answer is A, a new blockchain network. Question 2, what is HEX? A blockchain network. B, a smart contract / cryptocurrency. C, a cryptocurrency exchange. Or D, a digital wallet.
B.
B. Okay. All right.
We've regressed, man. We've not gone back to kindergarten.
Yeah, I know. Look. Last week was a bit too hard, right? Last week we got.
The hard is
you gotta-
good. The
Dude, you got to
controversial.
remember, people are like, they might be doing something. So I know hard's good for you because you're
People
100%.
complaining throughout the week.
No one's complained. I just
So
noticed that, like, everyone's like actually answering the questions this week in the chat.
People are not answering the last one.
If they're too hard, you just don't answer it because you don't want to look like someone who doesn't know the answer.
They're too scared to.
Am I
commit
right?
to it.
Be
Yeah,
honest,
probably.
people in the chat. Am I right? Yes, I know. I'm right. That's what I do. What is the relationship? Question 3. What is the relationship between PulseChain and HEX? Okay, so the first two were just like warming us up. So number 3, what is the relationship between PulseChain and HEX? A, PulseChain is a fork of HEX. B, HEX is a fork of PulseChain. C, PulseChain includes a fork of HEX. Or D, there is no relationship between PulseChain and HEX.
C.
The answer is C. Okay. Question number 4. Which of the following statements is true? A, PulseChain is a fork of Bitcoin with modifications. B, PulseChain is a fork of Ethereum with modifications. C, PulseChain is a copy of Ethereum without changes. Or D, PulseChain is the name of a chastity belt popular in the 16th century.
Did AI seriously come up with that question? I'll go B.
The answer is,
Did you come up with that last answer?
yeah, it sort of doesn't fit. I thought it'd be good at the time, but no.
Yeah, that's funny. I'll give that.
The answer is B. PulseChain is a fork of Ethereum with modifications. Question number 5. What is the main functionality of HEX on PulseChain? A, to facilitate private transactions. B, to mine and generate yield in PLS. C, to mine and generate yield in HEX. Or D, to provide a platform for smart contracts.
C.
And the answer is C. What is the main functionality of HEX on PulseChain? To mine and generate yield in HEX. Question number 6. How does the share rate work in HEX? A, it increases over time to encourage earlier staking. B, it decreases over time to encourage users to delay starting their stakes. C, it remains constant over time. Or D, it fluctuates based on market conditions.
A. Slightly weird wording though.
How does the share rate work in HEX? The answer is A, it increases over time to encourage earlier staking. In question 7, in HEX, what happens when a mature stake is ended within the 2-week grace period? A, the staked coins are lost. B, the staked coins plus yield are returned to the user. C, the staked coins are returned and the yield is paid in PLS. Or D, the staked coins are automatically restaked.
B.
And the answer is in HEX, what happens when a mature stake is ended within a 2-week grace period? The answer is B, the staked coins plus yield are returned to the user. Question number 8. What is the advantage of using HEX on PulseChain compared to using HEX on Ethereum? A, faster transaction times. B, lower transaction fees. C, both A and B. Or D, none of the above.
C.
And the answer is C. What is the advantage of using HEX on PulseChain compared to using HEX on Ethereum? And the answer is both A and B, which is faster transaction times and lower transaction fees. What would be the advantage? Like, let's flip it. What would be the advantage of using HEX on Ethereum compared to using HEX on PulseChain? Is there an argument to be made for that? And this has actually been a discussion that is.
Yeah, I mean the argument is that Ethereum is a more known chain and a more used a more used chain, and so and also the HEX on Ethereum is cheaper at the present moment. I'd say those are the two kind of arguments for HEX on Ethereum over HEX on PulseChain. But man, like every time I have a stake come up, it's just kind of like, oh man, wait for the gas to come down, because if it's anything above 2024, it's like not worth end staking a lot of these, you know.
You can't just set it though. Set it and forget it.
Just hope it comes up within the 2 weeks or whatever.
I mean,
Yeah. But how low do you set it, you know? And
well, set
yeah.
it at what you're willing to pay. I mean,
Yeah.
what you're willing to pay that's reasonable. So if you've seen that it's hovered around the 25 mark, you know, the average has been between 20 and 40, then you might set it in the low 20s and just chill.
Man, it's so hard to not end a stake, even if you're losing money on it.
Yeah.
Like I find it so psychologically difficult not to end a stake.
Like if you're actually losing money, like you mean the cost of end staking
is, I mean, you would have been better just buying it off the market.
Well, then that's what you should do.
Yeah, I know. That makes sense. But it's like psychologically really difficult to do that, I find. Like I've got the stake and it's like I've been waiting all this time for it. And it just feels it actually hasn't happened where it hasn't been worth it for me to do so far. But but I have to wait for the gas to go low before that happens.
It's the irony of it is that when you would need that hex the most, which is in a bull hyper FOMO bull part of the, you know, of the cycle, is when the cost of ending the stake is going to be the highest. It's like the irony of it.
Well, even now, it's like, you know, during the week, it's just forget about it. You know, it's like your only hope is on weekends, and even then, like this last weekend, I was waiting for it to go down, and it just never really did enough.
Why don't you just set it and leave it?
Because
it's not a swap. It's not a it's not a DEX swap where the price can move and then you get screwed. It's like if you can just set it.
But what do you set it for? Like how many gwei would you set it for? Would you set it for under 20 gwei? And just hope?
Like I said, I would look at the gas tracker and I would see what the ranges have been for the last couple of weeks. And then
sometimes you can
not get greedy. Like if it's
sometimes you can get around 20 or early 20s. Like if you wait for weekend.
So if it was me, and I could see that it went as low as 20, but it gone up to 50 or something, I'd probably go mid 20s, mid to high 20s. You know, I mean, if you're happy with what that's going to cost, then that's what I'd go with, and just sit back, and then it will probably go through at some stage. It only has to dip down very, very brief, like.
Yeah, the other thing though as well is if you do that, then you can't do other transactions. Like you have to wait for that transaction to go through.
You can't do other transactions with what?
Like you can't do a transfer of something else in that wallet. You have to wait for that transaction to go through for that wallet before you can do other transactions. No.
Oh right. Okay. Is that right? I don't know. Probably.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Is that right?
Unless you do it on a different. Oh, that's what. Yeah, I've always had to wait, and so there's sometimes if I just do it too low, and it's like, oh fuck, I've got to do this other transaction on that wallet. But I've never tried on a completely different browser using the same. Wallet.
You know what? Do you know what's interesting about that? That is not something that's ever. Like I've had a situation where that's come up, but it's never been something that's how little I have. Like, you know how I always tell you about how little stuff I want to have to do when it comes to crypto. Yeah. That's how little that has come up for me. That, you know, that I've ever had to deal with that. Yeah. Where are we? Question number 9. What consensus mechanism does PulseChain use? Proof of work, proof of stake, delegated proof of stake, or proof of authority?
Proof of stake.
Proof of stake it is. I went through that one quickly because that one's just way too easy. Okay, question number 10. What is a potential use for the good accounting feature in HEX? A, it primarily allows users to keep track of their accounting obligations. B, it allows any user to stop any other user's stake from bleeding out. C, it allows users to earn bonus yield. Or D, it allows users to audit the HEX smart contract.
B.
And the answer is B. What is a potential use for the good accounting feature in HEX? It allows any user to stop any other user's stake from bleeding out. Is it me, or can you do that with HEX? Can you do that with HEX Scout? I know you could do that with. We should go check, because I know that you can do it through EtherScan if you want, right?
Well, not on PulseChain. Can you do direct contract calls through scan.pulsechain.com? I think you
I'm
can.
not sure. I haven't looked recently. So you can do it on EtherScan. I'm not sure if you can end a stake.
On scan.pulsechain.com. I think you can. I think you can do direct contract calls. I haven't actually done any, but I've looked to do some.
Yes. So how'd we go?
I think you should go back to the hard questions.
To the hard questions for the last show?
Are you doing a quiz next week?
Oh yeah, might as well.
So
do hard questions next week.
Make them really hard, as hard as you can.
Okay. All right. Does everyone want hard questions? Hard or easy? Tell me. For the last show. Okay. So how did everyone go? Did you obvious 10 out of 10, right?
Yeah, everyone got 10 for that one for sure. Hey Bird, long time no see.
What's happening? What's happening to T-Bird? What's going on? Old T-Bird. I met up with T-Bird.
Man, he's lost a lot of weight. T-Bird, you lost a lot of weight, bro. You're looking super trim in those photos.
Yep. I mean, I'd never met him before a few weeks ago, so I have no. That's my first time. Yeah. But yeah, he was in shape. He was slim. His fasting protocol, obviously working wonders. I'm coming down at the moment as well. I'm losing some weight. When he saw me, he said you're like wider than I thought you. And I'm like, that's a very nice. It's like that's a super. I'm thinking to myself, that's a super nice way of saying I'm fatter than he thought I was. No, but T-Bird, class act, man. I really enjoyed meeting up with him. Yep. That was funny. Yeah, so what are we up to? Okay. So
let's get into this. Let's get into what the OA has done with the Aave, putting the like very interesting that he's using a third-party protocol that's not HEX. I mean, first of all, he was using DAI, but that's fair enough. But then now he's put it into Aave, so he just wants to make a bit of interest on that money that's sitting there, which makes sense, but it means he has to put it into this other contract, and he's put it into Compound as well. Is that right? Aave and Compound.
Yes. Let me get. I've got the links here. Where are they? Oh, before we do that, can I just ask you a question? I need to ask you a question about, because if anyone's going to know the answer, it's going to be you. So I want to ask you a question about this video. here.
Yeah, bit of Kundalini activation going on.
What do you call it?
It's Kundalini activation.
Okay.
Kundalini
What
energy.
and what exactly? Hang on, I think we need to see it again. Yeah, do we need to see it again? I got rid of it, but I'll bring it up again because it is just, if you don't know what that is, and I do not, it's just very weird. So just before you tell us what that is, that just looks like a bunch of women humping the sky, like trying to hump the sky and screaming.
It's men as well, no? I think
Was
it's
it
both
men? No, it
sexes.
looked like just women.
Oh, was it? Okay.
I mean,
sure?
look, I did not zoom in, and it just looked like women. It sounded like women, looked like women, you know.
Yeah, it's basically Kundalini. Well, do you know, you've heard of what a chakra is, yeah?
A what?
A chakra? You know what a chakra
I've
is?
heard of it. If you could just explain it.
Basically well, the chakra is like an energy system, and we have 7 chakras, and it starts at the base where your sex center is, like in between your anus and your, like where the perineum is, and there are 7 like chakras, and so basically what they're doing is they're activating the base chakra, the sex chakra, and moving, like they're hitting it against the ground to activate it, and making sounds in order to get the energy just free flowing, and they would be just trying to move the energy, or allowing the energy to move up from the base chakra up through the chakra systems, and it's basically a way to free up your energy and to activate that sexual energy. But instead of that sexual energy going like outwards, like when you ejaculate, it's shooting that energy, or allowing that energy to move up through the chakra system, up through your body. And so you get this kind of high by doing it. But it also goes into consciousness. So it goes into awareness, and you have a kind of, it changes your awareness of the world, reality.
That's not an easy move to maintain for a long time, as guys know. Like,
well, actually, yeah, for guys, if you want to prolong your
that's a
sex,
move that I think that's a move that most guys know and most guys do, like when they're in the act. You know, when you've got, I mean, damn it, I should just get into detail here. When you've got the lady in cowgirl position, but you're doing all the work. That's and you know, keeping that up, that's not easy. It's
amazing how easy it is when you get the energy going, and it just kind of, it's like it becomes automated, and it just, like, you allow the energy to move, and it just,
yeah, but like keeping just that particular move going for longer than 5 minutes that's tough. You know, that particular position with the weight, you know, you gotta remember there's weight as well. It's not like what they're doing. What they're doing in that, there's no weight. Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah, but like having a bit of weight is also kind of like, because you've got something to push against, you know. It's like, as opposed to just free air, you actually got to, and it's, you know, it's, you're very motivated. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But you need good cardio.
I suppose,
you know. That's not my favorite position anyway.
What's your favorite position?
I don't think I have. I don't think there's one in particular, because everything gets boring. So, don't you agree? Like everything eventually just gets boring if you just only do that one thing. So you could always have.
I think,
stuff going on.
yeah. I mean, that's when I think that really, that's when you have to get, imaginative in terms of, and really also subtle, go into the subtle energies, really slow it down and feel the subtle changes in your body and in their body and
Bro, I have not got any time for this. Like,
subtlety.
yeah, like no, it's just like there's not enough time. If you've got time to do that, then you go for it. Go for it. But when you've got when you're like quiet, sneaking around your own house so that the kids don't wake up, like, bro, you gotta get that shit done.
Right. So you're slam bam. We've got 5 minutes. The kids are out.
No, it's not. It's not like a 5 minutes. No, I don't mean
20,
like 5 minutes.
20.
It's no, it's just like no, 5 minutes is like there's time and a place for 5 minutes, but like can't be 5 minutes every time. Otherwise, even that would get boring. Do you know what I mean? Like just that gets boring. So yeah, where's Unwrecked? Exactly. Good question. Where is Unwrecked?
Talking about sex.
Unwrecked. Yeah. Unwrecked. This is a discussion that he would be at the forefront. He'd be at home in this discussion right now.
Hopefully he comes next. Hopefully we'll have a big week next week. The last show, the 200, and we get.
I've sent him the link for the last 3 weeks. I chatted to him not long ago, and he was going to try and make it, but obviously he's a busy guy. I hope he can make it on. I'd really love him to come on for the last show. I think that would tie a nice bow around all of it. But yeah, I think someone said, oh yeah, Ash said 43OG is the Ron Jeremy of our times. Nah. No, I'm not.
Unwrecked is the Ron Jeremy of our times.
That's a better, Unwrecked for sure. Me, not so much. Where was I? Okay, so
we're up to the what's the OA done like with the RV and compound?
Yeah, so
what that's why he's done that.
I'm just
or you're going to put
back,
up.
I'm just looking for the link so I can bring it up. Okay, there we go. Just give me a second. I'll bring it up. Hopefully, Twitter doesn't throw up that little window that says sign in. Hopefully, it doesn't do that to me.
For Twitter.
Yeah, sometimes Twitter will ask you to sign in,
really?
or give you like a pop-up window that gets in the way. Okay, there we go. All right, so this was a tweet. Is that all I have? Just that tweet? Richard moving funds into Aave. Is that all I get? That's all I got. Richard moving funds into Aave. Okay. I thought I'd be able to go back and see what else is going on.
You made a share the screen for bring up some stuff.
It might be easier if you do it, mate. I don't know why that's doing that.
What's his? Oh, it's Money Gain Crypto, yeah.
Yeah, I've got the link here. I'll put it in the private chat.
Okay.
So yeah, like how much was it? Do you know off the top of your head how much was put into Aave?
I think it was under $1 million, but I can't remember. Hang on, why isn't it coming? Oh, here we go. Hang on, let me just do something quickly. Okay, that's it, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, so Richard's moving funds into Aave. So 21 mil into Aave.
Okay, that's more than the mil. Moves
That
20
is
Aave
quite a lot.
deposits and gets exact amount of a die on version 2.
What on? Yeah, right.
Moves 14 mil to Aave Ethereum die.
What the hell is Aave Ethereum die?
Version 3 pool.
Oh, so he's basically put it into a liquidity position on Aave, which is which is die. He's moved the die into buying Ethereum. So he thinks if Ethereum's going up, he's going to go buy it. And I guess.
And then the update was that was that the first address? Can you scroll back up for a second? Yeah, so the first address then sends 7 million DAI to another address. And then the other address deposits that 7 million DAI on compound and receives 3.
Well, it's just in DAI. So it's just receiving interest for people who want to borrow that, from people who want to borrow it.
Okay. So moves are being made. What do you think? Like, what do you think the reason is for doing that? I mean, we're gonna find out because it will be evident. But clearly, yield to get yield.
Well, obviously, it's money. Yeah, it's like allowing the money to work for him. Like instead of it just sitting there doing nothing, he's gonna earn some interest on it. But also, there's a V3 position in there, so it's like people can trade within it. So he's making money on that. He's basically making money on that money.
Instead of just leaving it.
It is interesting because he has been such a like don't use third party contracts, and he's doing it. But I guess he has a lot of trust in Aave and Compound. And he's keeping it all on the ETH side. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why he's done it. I mean, now. Why has he done it now? And why didn't he do it a year ago? Is he just decided now that he wants to?
So what T-Bird just said there, which is what I was just thinking as well. Like you use it to generate the yield, and then you use that yield to pump the ecosystem.
Yeah, maybe.
Is that enough? Like, how much yield is that going to be? Like, what's the percentage rates of what does Aave pay out for DAI? I think I heard the number 7% thrown around.
Yeah, I think there's a I think Richard actually he's being shadow banned, by the way. Look, when I put in Richard, it's not coming up. I have to put Richard Hart in. But let's see. Yeah. So 5%, is that what you make?
5%.
Well, that's to the bank. So how much do you make?
Let's have a look.
No, I have no idea how much you make on using Aave, or we can probably find out somewhere.
So Aave is open source, yeah?
Yes.
And they support multiple blockchains.
They do.
Do you think, I mean, this is just, do you think that it could be a way to encourage Aave to support PulseChain? Like,
I mean,
yo, Aave, check out what I'm doing with your platform. Do you want me to do more of it? Support PulseChain. Like, do you know what I mean?
because no, I don't think it is that, because we have we have an Aave fork on PulseChain. Isn't that like
Competition's good, mate. So what if we've got an Aave fork? I mean, that's great. That's fantastic that we have an Aave fork, but competition's good. Would you agree?
You know, something that is possible now is like you can take staked ETH and stake it on another chain. I'm wondering if that is not a better tactic to try to get value from ETH over. Like if people have already staked it, but it still relies on oracles and stuff like that. I don't know. Aave relies on an oracle as well. That's what's kind of but I guess it's been pretty stable, and he wants to make money on his money.
Well, it will be interesting to see what happens. What happens with the yield, right? Isn't that
obvious? Yeah, as it starts.
I mean, can you imagine? Seriously, can you imagine? Because he's only done it with a small amount, right? How much is sitting in that wallet? 600.
Like 600 mil or something, hey?
600 million? Is it in DAI?
Mostly.
So he's got 600 mil in DAI, and he's put in like 21 mil and 14 mil.
So he's just testing it out, you reckon?
So we're not talking. It's not even 5. Is it 5%? He might have put in 5% of the stack.
I mean, I think that this has been a problem that Richard actually talked about this a long, long time ago. Was that his biggest problem is like he's got all of this capital, and so it's like, how do I use all of that capital? Like, and it was just sitting there doing nothing, and so it's like, yeah, how do you make benefit out of just having all of that capital?
Yo, if Aave supported PulseChain, that would be really big for PulseChain, because it puts us in
terms of what? In terms of marketing?
In terms of putting us like another really, really big crypto platform. Legitimacy, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was just looking at. I mean, they support all other sorts of stuff. Like here's.
So yeah, I'll bring it up.
Yeah, hang on. I'll share this tab instead. Does that work?
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Sorry, did you just bring it up? Did you? Yep.
Yeah.
So Ethereum, Avalanche, Optimism, Polygon, Arbitrum, Base, and you move across because there's more. If you scroll up.
Scroll up. Or down, you mean?
Yeah, you can go back up. Just there there's the 3. You can click on the arrow. No, a bit lower.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Gnosis, Aave Arc. What else?
Hell, these ones. Yeah, right. What the fuck are they?
Metis and Centrifuge RWA. So PulseChain could definitely support PulseChain.
Well, if they do Avalanche, for sure. Or Polygon. Fucking
base. Yeah, so that would be, I think that would be.
I mean, Arbitrum and Optimism are L2s and Base is an L2, so that kind of makes sense. But Avalanche is a completely different chain. Polygon, I think, is a side chain.
No, it's just another chain, mate. It's another chain.
But it settles on ETH, doesn't it?
Does it?
I think so.
No, Matic. No, you just
Yeah, I think it's
settle on ETH.
No,
really?
I'm not. I don't know.
I know of.
Gnosis chain. Never fucking heard of that.
You've never heard of Gnosis chain?
It's a side chain.
You've never heard of Gnosis? Does it say side chain?
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Gnosis is what's it call it? Hey, is what Staker was staking the Gnosis wallet?
Gnosis Safe.
Gnosis Safe. Is that it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So all right. So free speech. You're saying Polygon is a layer 2, but I always thought a layer 2.
No. It's not layer 2, but it's a side chain. I think. Well, I mean, how do you define these things as well?
Well, that's interesting because I always considered a layer 2 something that you can use, like you get like, for example, if Ethereum had layer 2, you would get Ethereum in the layer 2.
So he's only getting 2% on his Ethereum.
He's only getting 2%, but isn't it the DAI that is?
Oh, DAI, 4.5%, right?
So as opposed to another chain or a fork where it just, you need to bridge across to it, with a layer 2, it's a vertical. It's just straight up into the layer 2. And you're using, like, you'd use the same. So if I send an Ethereum to the layer 2, it's still worth an Ethereum on the layer 2.
Sure.
Rather than being a totally, like, so if you go to Polygon Matic, you go over there, but the base, the coin is Matic. So you're not trading. You can trade like wrapped Ethereum, but it's not.
No,
you're not paying.
Okay.
But you're not paying for gas in wrapped Ethereum on Polygon.
You're paying in Matic.
You're paying in Matic. So I always thought that like a layer 2 is like, I'm paying with Ethereum, and the Ethereum I use, it's like everything. It just works. It's like composable.
But it's all putting it into roll-ups, so you're paying hardly anything. It's just like batching a whole lot of transactions, yeah?
Yeah. But see, I don't understand, like Polygon, I mean, if they say it's a layer 2, but I think that's just a marketing ploy. Oh, yeah.
How did Avalanche get into this Ethereum marketplace? Like, how are they kind of so friends with all of these Ethereum people?
I don't know. Not sure, man. Not sure. But yeah, if you've just got your own token for gas on your chain, that's just your own fucking chain. That you've just got your own chain, haven't you? What exactly is
a side chain? Like, what's the difference between a side chain and just a complete chain?
I don't think there is. Is there such, like, I would have thought, like, if you're gonna have a side chain, then that side chain only interacts with, which is that is a layer 2 then, right? If it's only interacting with that, because what makes it a side chain? That it only deals with that one main chain? Is that what makes it a side chain? Or is it a side chain to everything? Is it like a whore to all the other chains? It just goes around, swapping with all the chains. In that case, it's its own chain. I know. Can I just say, in crypto, the terminology that's used is just flung around way too much. And
there is.
We need a crypto dictionary, don't we? We need like a Webster's crypto dictionary so that we can go and look up terms, find out what things mean, and speak clearly and accurately. I don't know, man. Can I just say that whatever the OA is doing, from where I'm sitting, it's bullish. That shit is all bullish. Feels like. But there's an interesting comment in the chat here that I think Tin Top said it. You go back and find it. RH lawyers may have given him the green light to make moves after submitting chain analysis paperwork to the courts. Has he done that? Has he submitted stuff to the courts? I don't know. Haven't really paid attention to what he's been doing on the court front. I'm just going to sit back and wait for the judgment to come through in the next couple of years. And I think Bluey, I think you're gone, mate. So let me have a look here and see what else I have lined up. So yeah, Bitcoin 57K. Let me just bring up a chart. Are you there, mate? Not sure what happened to Bluey. He's having technical difficulties at the moment. And here we go. Bitcoin. So it's a little bit of a pullback. 56 and a half. Very, very slight pullback at this point. Because it hit 57, didn't it? Which is amazing. Extremely, extremely bullish for crypto. I actually mentioned this to my wife earlier tonight, Louis. I'm like, Bitcoin's pumping. It's 57K. And she said to me, and what's HEX done? And I'm like, nothing. And she's like, why do we care then? And I said, no, I had to say, look, Bitcoin and Ethereum pumping is always good for all of crypto. Now, whether that flows through, whether that waterfall of money falls, cascades down into our ecosystem at some point, I'd like to think it will, but I just don't know when in the next year it will. But it'd be nice if it did soon. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
But that whole thing, that whole thing about BTC pumping, everyone loves a good BTC pump. Everyone loves it. It just lifts everyone's morale.
Early on, it was a bit of competition between HEX and Bitcoin, wasn't it? But and it was I remember feeling like Bitcoin's pumping and HEX is not. Oh, but nowadays I'm just like, cool, it's crypto's pumping. That's just going to bring in people.
Yeah, because we know that it's eventually we sit back and we think, well, our pump is on its way at some point. Yeah, hopefully that's what we sit back and wait for. But I found this funny clip I wanted to play.
Come back.
Nice.
I thought that was good. Did you watch the fight between? Well, there were a few crypto influencer fights, but there was one in particular that was of a little bit more interest to us, and that was the one between some
BitBoy and some
and some
Obama
other guy.
Inu something. Yeah. I didn't watch it live. I watched it on the replay, but he's great. I like BitBoy. He's a crazy cunt. He really is, isn't he? And
He just
it made
goes
me
for
want,
it, doesn't he?
you know what? It made me want to actually have a fight. It made me want to train and like I think it's a bit of a fantasy.
Dude, you don't want to have a fight. What the fuck?
It'd be crazy. I know,
Everyone
but,
wanted to fight. Everyone wanted to fight, dude. Have you ever been have you been in a fight before? Like properly?
I used to do capoeira, and I used to be, and I've been in like quarters where someone is out to get me, and I've been slammed, like picked up and slammed, and I've been in like controlled sort of.
Yeah,
I haven't been in fights, but I've been in that kind of like in capoeira, in the quarter.
Let me tell you, man, when people are punching you in the face, unless you're used to it, even when you're used to it, dude, it fucking sucks. Like it sucks. Getting punched in the face is not nice.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been like kicked in the liver or like in the legs, that's horrific, bro. It's you don't like it's like when you're watching it, you're like, it's like, I'd love to do that, but it's totally detached from the reality of what's going on, where people they're causing damage. It's causing damage, and
and especially at my age, but city kickboxing, the people in New Zealand, it's an Auckland thing where that's where Israel Adesanya and a whole lot of other UFC fighters fight out of. Well, his coach, Eugene Berryman, they do this thing where they just take a whole lot of people and they train them up for like 5 months. And at the end of the 5 months, they just pair everyone up to have a fight. And I watched a couple of episodes. It's a TV show as well. And I watched a couple of episodes and like it's weird, man. I think it'd be so hard and it would hurt so much and but there's something about it, which is just, I don't know. It's like, I think it's a secret fantasy of mine would be to be in a fight.
Bro, you don't want to be in a fight if you're not properly trained. And
obviously,
yeah, because it's not, trust me, it won't be a fantasy. It'll be a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
It's not fun, bro. That shit's not fun. Right? You go to a gym, go do some MMA classes, right? Go do some MMA classes for
sparring or something. Yeah.
They do them for like 6 months, man, because at the start, usually they like make sure that you don't get fucked up. They're careful with you, but like once you've been doing it for a while and then you're down and you're up for it, they'll if you want to get punched in the face, man, there's plenty of willing participants to punch you in the face.
I think I'd prefer, instead of the whole kickboxing thing, I think I'd prefer just like what's it call it, like jiu-jitsu. I think that'd be way more. I do acrobatics and dancing and stuff. So
dude, jiu-jitsu. I love jiu-jitsu. It's like, I love it. I wish I could do it more. I don't, if I could do it every day, if I was physically capable of doing it every day or had the time and was physical, you know what? I should stop making excuses. I should just fucking do it every day.
You could easily, yeah. What do you mean if you wanted to do it every day? Look, just do it.
No, because dude, there's a lot of wear and tear. Like I could do it every day when I was younger. In my 20s, I did it every day. Like,
but is there a lot of wear and tear? Really?
Fuck yeah.
you don't get stronger and stronger. Like I know when I do acrobatics, yeah, there's like you get exhausted and there's wear and tear, but like you actually get stronger over time, and you get much more capable.
It depends who you're training with, man.
Mm.
I mean, yes, you get better. But if you're training with killers, like if you're training with like killer purple and brown belts, you know, purple belts will fuck you up all day, right? Unless, you know, because usually purple belts are at that level where they're fucking good enough to be brown belts. They just probably need to tighten some screws, right? But they'll smash blue belts all day long.
But like they wouldn't. Do you get injured much doing jiu-jitsu? Wouldn't you just roll and as soon as someone gets you in a position, you just tap out? Or
yeah, but things I used to have when I trained, I'd have like my fingers taped because I'd just have like, you know, I used to have broken toes, fingers, like because things just get, especially if you're wearing the gi, things sometimes will just get caught. Like your finger might get caught in a gi and just get twisted the wrong way. It doesn't matter what, you know, and you can tap out, but sometimes things just happen so quick.
Yeah. No, I've dislocated my little finger a couple of times doing acro. It's not fun. And it's not a good look. Red Squirrel says he'll fight me. He's actually met me, so it's probably not. I'm probably not going to be that good at it.
It's good fun. It is awesome fun. It's a great way to, I think, stay fit and also maintain a good level of manly confidence about yourself. Like that. Right. That is the I think the unspoken benefit of training martial arts.
Body confidence. Yeah.
Just confident that like you don't, and this is the thing, right? Because people who train generally are a bit more respectful. They don't mouth off as much just because they know shit can get. They know they've been on the end of people beating on them, usually on a daily basis or multiple times per week. So they don't go around looking for fights because they know that shit can get bad quick, right? Yeah, I just think that it's a good thing that you should do it too. You should do jiu-jitsu. You just have to find a good gym that hasn't got like retards trying to fuck you up. That's what it comes down to. You can go to some gyms and some gyms will just have like, you know, spastic white belts trying to fuck you up, you know, and you don't need that. You don't need that. You need like genuine good people. The good thing about jiu-jitsu as well is you can do it like generally you can travel around. And if you've got like, you can do it anywhere. You can do it anywhere. Like if you're a humble guy, do you know what I mean? Like if you walk into a jiu-jitsu gym, you're a humble guy. Like people will welcome you with open arms, man. It's like it's a very like in my experience. I trained in Italy. I trained in Italy at a few different gyms, and everyone was like always super. Like, don't get me wrong, when you get rolling, it's like people are trying to tap you. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like
way
at
to
the end, everyone's cool always.
All over the world. Yeah. And acro's like that as well. It's really
you should do it, dude. You should like try it out and do it.
Yeah, maybe. I think I prefer acro actually. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, but you can learn. Do you know the beauty of jiu-jitsu is you can learn how to defend yourself like the gentle art, man. That's what jiu-jitsu means, the gentle art.
Is that true? Is that what it actually means? Oh.
Yep. Does it?
Is it a Japanese word?
Maybe it doesn't mean that.
Like I know it comes from Brazil. Why is it such a Japanese word? Well, sounds Japanese, doesn't it?
It's jiu-jitsu. Yeah, because it came originally from Japan and the Gracies took it to Brazil.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought they developed it in Brazil. Like it came out of Brazil.
No. The Gracies went to, or one of them went to Japan and learnt off Matsu. What the fuck was that guy's name? Let me look it up.
Oh, some OG. A bin lid at your car. What countries have bin lids anymore?
Bin lids.
Yeah, that's pretty old school.
Someone help me out here. Mr. Magai.
What's that?
The history of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Matsu. Yeah, that's it. Someone went to Mitsuyu Maeda. That's the guy. So he was they like, I think, learnt off each other or something, but that Japanese dude like taught them heaps of shit, and then they went back to Brazil and like refined it, and then they did all these like comps where they would like anyone could come and challenge them in their own gyms, and like kung fu guys would go over, karate guys would go over, they just fuck everyone up. They just fucked everyone up, you know. And then their kids or their grandkids were in the UFC, and that's what made it, you know, kick off.
Right.
But yeah,
Poissy.
the gentle art, because the idea is you can
subdue someone without hurting them.
Yeah, you can, you know, put them to sleep without hurting them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true. That's true. Someone who knows what they're doing will absolutely. I mean, even someone who's only been training for like a year against someone who's got no idea, same size, even to a bigger person, can probably put them to sleep without too much trouble. You know, like properly to sleep, snoring.
So, do you think influencer like MMA is going to become more of a thing?
In my opinion, I prefer to watch professionals fight.
Yeah,
that's just me. I like
when
I see those guys fighting. When I see those guys, yeah, I like the karate combat setup as well with that stuff around the sides. I think that's awesome.
That's so much better. Like this whole thing about your fingers or toes out of the. It's like don't have that there so people can use that.
I would love that with MMA rules.
Yeah,
I would love to see MMA rules in the karate combat thing with full MMA rules. I would love to see that. And maybe not even, I wouldn't even have a ring. I would just have a circle, right? A circle, like
no corners.
No corners. No corners.
That's a great
idea.
That would be a beautiful setup, and it's very like photogenic as well. Like you'd be able to like see everything and like, I think it's much better than the wire octagon. Even just the walls, what they have, the walls like that people can kind of like why do they have that in MMA? Like why don't they just make it a wall that you can't grab onto?
You're not meant to grab onto the wall.
I know, but the thing is, when you're in a fight, people just do, you know what I mean? Like, so like, why not make it so that it's impossible to? And then you wouldn't even have that problem of umpire referees having to get
there's something about being locked in a cage that makes it a primal, like more of a primal thing. Oh, look, people are being locked in the cage like animals to fight like animals, you know?
Yeah.
And even though they probably steer away from that sort of characterization of what's going on, and I certainly don't see. I think it's just very highly skilled people getting in there, and just the consequences are higher. I mean, really, it's just sport. It's fighting. It's like sport just tries to emulate. In my opinion, sport is just refocusing that energy that originally comes or evolved from fighting or having to fight. Just focusing that on, instead of like, defending yourself or hurting your opponent, on taking the ball over a line or kicking it through some posts or hitting it with a racket. It's just focusing that same energy.
Mate, footy season's about to start again, and I can't wait. I think AFL footy is probably for me, that's the best sport in the world. Like
it certainly used to be back in the day. It seems like it's still good, but back in the day it was a lot more enjoyable when there was a bit more. I don't know. They just seemed a bit more loose.
Back.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the new laws they've got new laws I'm not so into. I recently watched an old grand final from like the 80s, and it was like, the rules are so much more simple back then, all this all the new rules, I'm not so into either. And I think they are a bit soft on, like, I know you have to have a duty of care to people, but one of the beautiful things about AFL was just I wouldn't say violence, but it was, the rough and tumble of it, Still, it's just like so many highlights in a game of AFL footy, hey?
Yeah, it's good fun. I've got a clip I would like to play, which I thought was a really good clip. Like, fits in with exactly what type of stuff we like to talk about. So the president of El Salvador did a 23-minute speech, and there was a portion of it which I thought was relevant. So,
for instance, the financial situation of the United States. When I talk to my conservative friends right here, they always tell me that the problem is high taxes, but they're wrong. Of course, high taxes are extremely high here in the United States. I give you that. You're right in that. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is not the high taxes themselves, but the fact that they are not even really funding the government. Not even those high taxes, higher than a lot of places in the world, not even those taxes are really funding the government. So who's financing the government? Government is financed by treasury bonds, paper. And who buys the treasury bonds? Mostly the Fed. And how does the Fed buy them? By printing money. But what backing does the Fed have for that money being printed? The treasury bonds themselves. So basically, you finance the government by printing money out of thin air. Someone could ask, well, so if the government can print the limited amounts of money out of thin air, why do they collect taxes? I mean, in theory, it would make sense, right? If they can print unlimited amounts of money, why would they need taxes for? The answer is simple, but it's very shocking. The real problem is that you pay high taxes only to uphold the illusion that you are funding the government, which you are not. It's shocking, but it's true. The government is funded by money printing, paper backed with paper, a bubble that will inevitably burst. The situation is even worse than it seems, because if most Americans and the rest of the world were to become aware of this farce, confidence in your currency would be lost, the dollar would fall, and the Western civilization with it. If the next president of the United States doesn't make the necessary policies and structural changes, sooner or later that bubble will burst.
So he just for a bit of background, he made some sweeping changes to El Salvador, and he's essentially, I think most commentators would agree that he's turned that country around in a very short amount of time. Ever since he changed he's included Bitcoin as legal tender, and he also built a mega prison. I think he built a mega prison that holds like 10,000 people, and he just basically rounded up all the gang members, all the gang people, and just like put them in jail.
Really?
Just basically throws anyone doing anything illegal, just throws them in jail.
So is the El Salvador government actually mining? Like, I know they had plans that they wanted to mine Bitcoin using their volcanoes or something, but do they actually mine Bitcoin?
I don't know.
Are they buying it up as like as their treasury?
Look, I'm not sure, but I'm sure they hold it. I'm pretty sure they hold it. So that's the strategy. That's the strategy to hold Bitcoin. So as like, think about their position, like their books, how good their books look. As if Bitcoin pumps to, $57,000, how good do their books look? Like what about when Bitcoin's at $90,000? But by the way, I was thinking about this. Like, where do you think Bitcoin's going to go this cycle? How high?
On 120,000.
I was thinking that a few weeks back, and I'm going to take it back. I think we're going to hit like 98K, and then I don't want to sound bearish or anything like that. It's still very bullish for Bitcoin, because there's so much economic energy in there now. So I'm not sure if we're gonna, like, if you think about like how high did we went, it went 3.3 up from last top to the top before. It went like 18x from the top before that up to the top. So it went 18x down to 3.3x. Do you think we're going to do another, like, what are we going to do now? A 2x?
Oh, no, I think it'd be more than that. And especially with the ETF.
I don't, man. I don't. Nah. I
just don't think,
I don't think these legacy chumps have the stomach to sit on those gains. I don't think they have the stomach for it. I think they're just like, they'll be salivating so hard when they see those gains, and they're going to just, I can't see it being, I think that's the end of big gains.
It's really the network effect. It's really how many people come in and, start gobbling it up. And if you have if people feel like, I mean, those green candles, man, it's crazy what they can do to people's brains. People will try to jump on the train. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes up to 150 and then comes back down. But it's all just guesswork.
It's all guesswork. I'm on the, like, I think.
But why do you think? Why do you think that like governments need, like, the illusion to give people the illusion that it's the taxes which is supporting the government? Like, why do they need that illusion? Like, what would happen if they just
That's
said,
a
right,
good
there's no tax,
question.
we're just going to print money from now on, which is what they're doing anyway. You know, like, and
Is it? I mean, I'm just going to throw up some ideas. Could it be that it makes you feel like you contribute? Like, I mean, no, but no one actually feels that way, do they? Although you sort of do. It's just like when you've paid taxes, just as like, yeah, I paid taxes. You know,
that's what you've got, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
You
actually
gotta-
driving down the street, like, and just like, I paid for that shit right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how much stuff I've paid for so much shit, man. I drive down the street, I pay for everything. You know, the day after I pay my taxes, it's just like, yeah, fucking enjoy that public toilet. I paid for that
Put
shit.
that over there. Pay for it. Yeah, like if you didn't have to
I
pay
don't know.
taxes.
What do you think? What do you think the answer is? Why? I
think it's just tradition. I think it's just that's the way it has been,
or
and
do you
now
think it's the only way they can get away with it?
They're getting more and more out of control to the point where it's like what is the difference in terms of like the difference between how much they collect on tax to how much they print? Like, is it multiples? I have no idea, like what even the difference is, like how much the tax base is compared to how much they actually just print.
You can. It depends what the deficit is. Like how far are we going backwards every year? Like, is our debt increasing every year? Is it decreasing every year? And that will determine like whether the government's income like is greater than what it's spending, right? And
They're
whether
always,
I think this
always increasing the printing, right? It's just they're just what they argue about is how much do they increase the printing by? Well, that's what the interest rate is essentially, no?
the interest rate is the lever that the central bank uses to
It's either they've got to force it
either stimulate the economy by making money cheap, or by curbing inflation, which is well, when we say curbing inflation,
it's just lowering it a bit, but not
take
really.
money out of people's hands that they would spend on the market. But essentially, if you think about what's actually going on, they raise the interest rates to curb inflation. Okay, all that money that you had normally out of your paycheck to go and buy goods and services, now more of that needs to go to housing for the most part, because that's where all the debt is in Australia, you know, in housing. And even if you rent, well, the person you're renting the house off probably has a mortgage on that, so their costs are going up as well. So but isn't it interesting, like, you curb inflation, so they're just going to take that money out. So there's a group of people that decide that you don't get to have as much money anymore. They're just like a bunch of people that just decide, no, you earn too much money, you get taxed too little, we're going to tax you some more through interest rates going up, so you have less money to spend because inflation is rampant. It's fucking such a weird system, man. It's such a weird system.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got another clip here.
I think it's kind of like we're in this really totally weird system that doesn't work, but it's just like we've been in it for so long that it's like, how do you get out of it? No one really knows.
It's it's different. The system has worked. I mean,
not really. Well, it depends what you're working. Like,
it's not going to work forever. Is the thing is, it's not going to work forever. It's working, but it's breaking down. Like, the wheels are coming off the cart. Do you know what I mean? Like, it can't keep going. You can't keep going like this. You can't keep just spending, like creating debt to spend your way out of trouble. it's just this. It's a cyclical.
We think it can't work
Right.
forever. We think it can't work forever.
But it can't.
But
It can't because eventually everything gets too expensive too
hyperinflated.
quickly. Yeah,
Yeah,
everything
but then
gets
they,
too expensive
they could
too
probably just
quickly.
lop off zeros and like it just keeps going or something, you know? Like
No, it's the speed of the increase in the cost of goods and services. That's the problem. It's the speed of that increase that's the problem. So in countries like
hyperinflation. Yeah.
so that hyperinflation, it just means that if you speak to anyone, I think I've heard Kareem talk about this, that he'd like wake up in the morning and the government had devalued, like they'd printed money and they devalued their currency. So they just all had to work harder to afford stuff because everything was more expensive.
Which is kind of what's really happening now, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's easier to get through that sort of situation if you are closer to the source of food. You don't rely so much on electricity. It's easier to work your way through that. Like, so think about it. If you live off the land and you have like livestock that you can eat, you can, grow food for yourself. You've got well water. You've got maybe self-sufficient energy-wise. Those people clearly are going to have less of an issue if shit goes to hell in a handbasket. But if you're in metropolitan anywhere, and then your water turns off, your power goes off, so there's no refrigeration, there's no clean running water, and you go to the supermarket, there's no internet to pay for anything, and there's nothing at the supermarket anyway because everything's already been looted. Then what? Screwed, right? Completely and utterly screwed. So in a country like Australia, we're pretty lucky because we've got lots of natural resources. But we certainly don't manage the natural resources that this country has. We do not manage them the way we should or could,
Yeah.
We certainly don't. But yeah, that's why inflation would be bad, because if things just get out of control, then no amount of money is going to be able to buy you the goods that you need to survive. In that particular situation, you want to be someone who lives off the land or has their own. Does that make sense? Has their own like way of
absolutely. Yeah. That's, I mean, if you've got enough to live and grow, but it's, it's very hard at scale with in big cities and everything like that. Like,
so
pretty much.
Tin Top, that's an interesting comment. That's a good comment. The utopia of off-grid living with shitty internet and stepping in goat shit every day, pure bliss. That is like, I'm not saying that living off grid would be easy or fun. It would be hard work, but I guess it beats the alternative of starving in metropolitan apocalyptic metropolitan that wouldn't be nice, and starving to death, by the way, people looting homes. But the thing about the internet, though, Starlink, I think, changes the game in relation to that. It really does. You can just like go get Starlink. So your shitty internet is not so shitty. But by the way, don't we feel fucking retarded in Australia for paying for NBN to get put in? All that money for NBN we spend. All that
Having a
money,
service.
all that money, debt, which got printed. It was debt, right? They went into debt to do that, right? So that's just money printing, inflation. And then a company comes along and just does it, like produces something, and now it's available for pretty much only a little bit more expensive than NBN. I think.
Really?
Yeah,
Can
like
you?
so. I think
It's just as fast.
it's faster.
Really, Starlink is faster.
I think Starlink's faster. Yeah,
Really?
it's a good question.
And what do?
I think
You
it's
just like they send you a satellite dish and you just set it up and then you've got internet.
I think it's $130, man.
A
I think
month.
it's $130.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure. You know what? I want to have a quick look.
Cannibalism in your city. As long as Starlink's still working. Well, we have YouTube.
We can watch how to avoid getting cannibalized videos on YouTube.
How to survive
go
the
watch
apocalypse.
The
Become
living.
very popular.
What was it called? The Walking Dead reruns to work out what to do.
Yeah.
You don't trust Elon. Yeah.
Don't trust any one of those.
But do you trust your NBN company? Yeah, who are you going to trust? I mean, I don't think... Of all the people I could trust who hold positions of power in the world, like, I'm not a massive fan of some of the stuff Bill Gates does. Not a massive fan of it. He made Windows.
Oh, he stole the IP from someone else, didn't he?
Yeah, but he's the one who saw it get developed. Like,
Well, I wouldn't trust Bill Gates.
What did he steal? What did he steal? He stole. Did he steal DOS?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But Windows, like, if you know what DOS was, like command line.
Windows was shit. Windows was so shit for so long, man. Like, how long did that
Elon
take?
just put a chip in someone's head. Yeah, that's a fair call. But I'm not trying to defend the guy. I'm not going to defend the guy. Like, he can defend himself. If you're at the, like, towards the end of your life and shit's starting to not work as well, and there's some chip that can make it better, you know, who knows what decision you'll make? Do you know what I mean? Like, can you imagine someone who's like has dementia and then somehow the chip can replace that part of their brain that can't remember short-term things?
I don't know, man. I'm so skeptical of that technology.
I'm skeptical as well. I'm not lining up to do that. I'm not. But I'm just saying, if someone's like essentially just a vegetable and they're working with those people to get them to be functional, well, isn't that progress of a kind? Like, I don't know. You know, I'm not saying put it in the kids. You know, I'm not saying put the microchips in the kids' head. I'm not saying put it even in our heads. I'm saying if there's like
in the old cunts' heads, and the disabled,
just put it in someone who's essentially just sitting around like a vegetable, not doing anything, and see if they can get that guy to do something. You know, and maybe they can get him to clean the toilets.
I'll vote for you.
Did I say I've got another clip? I have another clip.
Yeah, put it in Biden's head.
Yeah, Biden's already got it. He's already got it.
Well, he needs it.
Oh man. Biden.
That's crazy, eh?
It's crazy.
You reckon do you reckon they're going to let Trump in?
I find the structure of your question so interesting. Are they going to let Trump in? Like, because that's what it seems like, right?
Yeah.
Are they going to let him in a democratic country? Are the very few who hold the power to stop him from getting in going to let him run and get in? Isn't that interesting that that's the way
Well,
the
they're
question's
trying
framed?
their best. They're trying their best to not let him in, but it's not really working. It's weird, these shared delusions, isn't it?
Yeah. It's definitely a hit job. They're definitely doing whatever they can to like cripple him financially. They're just doing whatever they can to cripple him financially, I think.
Yeah, and it's obvious. Everyone sees it and knows it, you'd think. Maybe some people still don't. Maybe a third of the population still don't. I don't know.
Yeah, the people with the blind hatred. Let me play this.
Argentina's Javier Milei just racked up an impressive win, turning a massive deficit into their first budget surplus in 12 years, all just 9.5 weeks after taking office. Note, the deficit was projected at 5% of GDP under the previous government, so in U.S. terms, he turned a $1.2 trillion annual deficit into a $400 billion surplus in 9.5 weeks. How did he do it? Easy. He cut a bevy of agency budgets by 50% while slashing crony contracts and activist handouts. For perspective, if you cut the entirety of Washington's budget by 50%, you would save a cool $3 trillion and start paying down the national debt. Dare we dream? Moreover, it turns out it can be done and the world does not actually collapse. In previous videos, I've mentioned Milei's been logging some impressive wins. He slashed crony regulation, got rid of currency controls, an important step to dollarization, and he recently slashed rent prices by removing controls. That actually led to a near overnight doubling of apartments for rent in Buenos Aires, so they got cheap. Unfortunately, it's not all smooth sailing. A bill to privatize corrupt state-owned companies to effectively de-Sovietize the Argentine economy was blocked by the socialist opposition because they serve the government unions who would lose their jobs. Meanwhile, a major reform to make it a lot easier to hire people was struck down by the High Court, who said it has to go through Congress, which will block it since, you guessed it, it hurts unions. Still, for the average Argentinian, these are deck chairs on the Titanic compared to the ongoing hyperinflation. Recently, monthly inflation came in at 20.6%. That's on the month. That was a lot better than the outgoing government, but it still left year-on-year inflation at 254%. Why so high? Partly because Milei had to free up the exchange rate to smooth the path to dollarization for Argentina adopting the US dollar instead of the local confetti, but mostly because the rivers of money printed up by the socialists continue to run through the battered ruins they left of Argentina's economy. After all, Milei has only been in office for 9.5 weeks. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained.com. Milei's reforms will continue to be trench warfare, but his inflation progress is going to be the key to retaining public support. He just notched a big win on the deficit, but it only stops the bleeding. The patient is still on life support. To fully kill Argentina's hyperinflation, Milei needs real progress on either dollarization or, dare we dream, a gold standard. Now, in dollarization, that might involve, say, announcing a months-long window for peso assets to be revalued in dollars and then switch the economy over completely. He's been preparing the groundwork so far. The currency controls and deficits are a big help, and he is surely motivated to do it since dollarization in other countries that did it has 90% public support after the fact. But it's a complicated process, and if done badly, he'll be dead in the water politically. The stakes are high, and not just for Argentina. If Milei succeeds, he'll be a model for radically shrinking government in other countries in Latin America and the rest of the world, and even for our spineless goblins in Washington. Read the full article with charts and all at profsainange.com. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.
It's so curious. Like, why is Malay going over to the dollar? Like, I understand, okay, he can't control their own currency. There's massive hyperinflation. It's been a problem for a long time. But like going over to the dollar, doesn't it seem like he's just jumping out of the frying pan into the fire?
There's a big difference between the Argentine peso and the dollar. That's a big difference.
But if everyone, okay, so let's say Argentina just ditches its peso and basically just
move
uses
in the right direction. They should probably also adopt Bitcoin.
You would think, hey, some sort of hard currency, like, or a gold backed, or whatever you want to do with it, you know. But to be putting it all into dollars, it just seems like as the dollar, like, is going to be so
But every other fiat currency is going to be worse off than the dollar.
Yeah.
Everyone else is going to inflate as well. It's not just the dollar. It's just the whole thing comes down, right? But they were just, if they're using the dollar, they can't inflate the dollar. That's the whole point. The whole point is the government, if he does this, then the government can't just print money.
But then you're relying on central banks and Americans, and they're just printing. So you're going into a currency which is devaluing all the time anyway. Like, maybe not as much as what you had, but it's still kind of like. And how long is with BRICS all coming?
It would be but the thing for Argentina, that would be such a change, such a massive positive change, that it would be like, it's like chalk and cheese. You know, going over to the US dollar, even though, you know, you might say, well, it's a sinking ship anyway. It's still a massive, you know, a massive change, a massive positive change. It's in the right direction, but they will need, like, I think that the longer, like, if El Salvador can be, if they can totally turn the country around, like in the long term, 5-10 years time, I think it's only a matter of time before more countries follow that lead. I think so. Yeah, I really do, because, like, why wouldn't you? You know, if it's yielded such positive outcomes for that small country, why wouldn't other small countries do the same?
Yeah. Pump our bags, or Bitcoin's bags anyway.
Yeah. Yep. So a couple of things happened in Australia in the last 24 hours. The first thing that happened was the Queensland Supreme Court found vaccine mandates to be unlawful and a breach of human rights.
Yeah, it's crazy, hey? So they're not going to be able to pull the same shit again if they try.
Well, what I think this does is it adds weight to the you know, there's an idea out there that there should be a royal commission into all of this, and it's been rejected. It's been sort of they've really tried to, you know, resist it. The federal government has really tried to resist it. So I think this just adds weight to the argument, to the side of, hey, you know, there needs to be a royal commission. If you've got, like, the Supreme Court finding that vaccine mandates, it was a class action lawsuit, that vaccine mandates are unlawful and a breach of human rights, I think that's a step in the right direction. Hopefully there can be a royal commission.
It means that they won't be able to do it again. They've lost that card that, you know, like, there's this deadly disease, we're going to have to
in
get
Queensland,
lock everyone down, and
it doesn't mean anything for like other states.
Yeah, but it's pretty hard to do. It would be pretty hard to do politically now. You don't think? You think they could do it again? They could say, "Oh, there's this new disease. We're going to have to lock everyone down, and everyone has to take vaccines again." Like, do you think it's like Australia go for it again?
They still expect you to take vaccines in Melbourne if you work in Melbourne hospitals.
Really? Yeah, right.
As far as I understand, yeah, from what I've read on Twitter, people saying, you know, you still need to have three shots in Melbourne hospitals. So it's, you know, obviously the lunacy is still, you know, it's still there. It's still going on, you know. So I think I'd like to see more stuff like this happening. I'm not sure if we've got a class action thingy going on
to the High Court.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. Now the other thing that happened, there was a senator that got a motion passed to acknowledge the rise in excess deaths and the need for an investigation in Australia. So I've got a clip from that as well. It's a bit cringe, political cringe, but I'll play it.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's Senator Ralph Babette here from the United Australia Party. I have some great news to share with every one of you out there. Now, what is that news? Now, for you Senate nerds out there, it's General Business Notice of Motion number 462. But what is that motion? Let me read it out to you right now. It says that the Senate acknowledges that the concerning number of excess deaths observed in Australia in 2021 and 2022 has continued into 2023 as evidenced by all-cause provisional mortality from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, and that there is a need for further inquiry as to the reasons for these excess deaths. So basically what that means is I put up a motion. That motion said exactly what I just read out, and we voted on it. So for the first time, as far as I'm aware, anywhere in the world, actually, a parliament, a senate, has acknowledged that there is excess deaths, that people are dying and we don't know why they're dying, and we need to investigate. This is an absolutely massive win. So how did the senators vote? 31 senators supported me and 30 senators voted against me, against my motion. So the coalition and of course the UAP, One Nation, etc., all voted in support of this motion. So I'd like to thank everyone who supported me there. But the Labor Party and the Greens voted against my motion. They voted to basically put it in the bin. To the Labor Party and to the Greens, I say, don't you want to shine a light into dark places? Don't you want to know why your fellow Australians are dying in greater numbers than previous years? Don't you care? So, big win once again. The United Australia Party will keep fighting for justice, keep fighting for what is right, and I hope you have a great...
Okay. Yeah, dude, that's...
Slowly.
That is like, I wonder why they vote against finding out more about that. Isn't that something that politicians, no matter what your political inclination is, or whichever side you're on,
there's really no excuse. There's really no excuse.
That, like, a lot more people are dying than normal. We need to find out what this is. We need to investigate. Don't you think that would be forefront of the parliament, of the upper house of the Senate? Apparently not.
No, you would assume that they would be constantly monitoring stuff like that and looking into why there are excess. Like you would not think that you would need to pass something in the Senate in order to go and look into that. And then for people to vote against it, it's like
it's a bit disgusting, actually. It's a bit disgusting that they want to brush it, like sweep it under a carpet. They don't want an inquiry. They don't want a light to be shone on it. They really don't. But why? That's the question. Why?
Why do you think they put that music? He put that music on that clip.
I don't know. It's dude, I'm not a
It's so
fan.
ridiculous. Like,
It's
it
so
just so
dumb.
turns you off, doesn't it? It's like
It's
you're trying
cringy,
to
bro. Cringe.
emotionally manipulate me. It's like
Yeah. No,
canned
but
laugh.
even like that guy, like okay, great, he did a good thing, but could he it's like he's trying to sell me a secondhand Commodore or something. You know what I mean? That's how I feel like the way that guy talks. It's like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's disappointing that I mean, because that's a serious thing. That's not just some like random thing. Loads of people are dying. It wasn't just the 2 COVID years. It's also extended into 2023, which you would say has been like we got sort of back to normal in 2023 as far as day-to-day life. But excess deaths are still high. So isn't that should be something that Australian politicians care about? Full stop. That's it. They should care about that. You know, your constituents are dying. You should care. Yeah, and that's I think that's pretty much all I have, man. Was there anything that you wanted to cover?
No, man, that's good. It's been about 2 hours. I've actually got to head off to an acro class soon.
Oh, really?
So
Nice. Very nice. I occasionally watch someone see like it just pops up on the feed. Someone who does acro. I'm not sure why that pops up. I must have searched it once. You know, after you talking about it.
on YouTube, you mean, or
Yeah, on YouTube. Every now and then it will just come up. Something will come up. But yeah, so I don't know who is available to show up next week. It might just be us two. But I hope
will turn up. I think the last show.
we'll see. I mean, I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Sammy works. I don't know what Tangent, you know, what he's got planned.
Dexter said he wanted to try to come on,
but he's away as well. So
yeah,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who's going to come on. I would love for Unwrecked to come on. That would I'd be super happy if he could make it on, but I just don't know. So it might just be us two. But even if it's us two, you know, we'll you know, I might actually have to crack open a drink for the last show.
An alcoholic drink.
An alcoholic drink. Might have to do that. And yeah, if you guys are in the chat, you're listening, thank you for coming along. Come to the last stream next week and you know, have a drink with us. And yeah, man.
Thanks everyone for hanging out with us.
We'll see you next week. Cheers.